Have you ever noticed how the moment you finally decide to leave, they suddenly turn into the person you begged them to be? One day you're too sensitive, the next day they're your whole world. And it messes with your head because it feels real. But here's the psychology behind it. When a narcissistic person senses you're losing access to them, they don't just feel rejection, they feel a threat to their identity. Because for them, control isn't a behavior, it's an emotional oxygen. So if you're in that confusing, almost out phase, here are 6 psychological mind games narcissists play when they know you're leaving. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. Number 1. The sudden soulmate switch. This is the most addictive one. They become soft, they listen, they apologize, they say the exact sentences you've been waiting years to hear. And you think, maybe they finally understood. But what's happening is something closer to loss aversion. In psychology, people fear losing something more than they enjoy gaining it, and narcissists fear losing supply, attention, admiration, emotional access, like a person fears losing air. So they love bomb again, not because they've changed, but because your exit triggers their panic. It's not love, it's crisis management. Number 2, the guilt trap. After everything I've done. This one targets your empathy. They remind you of the favors, the sacrifices, the times they were there for you, and suddenly your boundary feels like betrayal. This is emotional accounting. They treat kindness like a debt contract, and the real trick is cognitive dissonance, because you're trying to hold 2 truths at the same time. They hurt me, but they also helped me. And your brain hates that tension, so it tries to reduce it by doing the easiest thing, staying. But help doesn't erase harm, and support isn't a permission slip for control. Number 3, the radical scramble. Gaslighting on maximum volume. When you're leaving, you're usually clearer than ever. You've replayed the moments, you've connected the patterns, you've finally named what's happening. And that clarity is dangerous to someone who survives through distortion. So they scramble your reality. They say, that never happened. You're imagining things. You're overreacting. You're the abusive one. This works because of something called memory distrust. When someone repeatedly questions your perception, you begin to question your own mind. You stop trusting your internal compass. And once you stop trusting yourself, you start trusting them. That's the goal. So pay attention to this sign. If every conversation ends with you feeling confused, guilty, and exhausted, that's not communication. That's psychological fog. Number 4, the victim costume. You're abandoning me. This one feels cruel because it flips the roles. Suddenly, they're the fragile one, the wounded one, the misunderstood one. They cry, they panic, they tell you they can't live without you. And a part of you melts because you're not heartless. You're emotionally intelligent. You feel things. But here's the pattern. They don't take accountability. They take center stage. This is called emotional coercion. They use vulnerability not to connect, but to control. Because if they can make you feel responsible for their emotional state, they can keep you trapped. Real vulnerability sounds like, I understand why you're leaving. I want to change even if you still go. I respect your boundary. Manipulative vulnerability sounds like, if you leave, you'll ruin me. Number 5, the threat pivot. Fear replaces charm. When love doesn't work, they switch to fear. They threaten to expose you. They threaten to ruin your reputation. They threaten to take things away. They imply consequences, and you freeze. That freeze is not weakness, it's biology. Your nervous system shifts into threat response, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And narcissists often rely on fawn that survival strategy where you appease to stay safe. So you start thinking, let me just calm them down first. Let me just leave gently. Let me just wait until they're in a better mood. But there's never a better mood. There's only a better grip. Number 6, the replacement theater, making you feel easy to lose. This one is subtle, and it hits your pride. They suddenly seem unbothered. They post more. They flirt publicly. They hint that someone else wants them. They act like you're replaceable. And it triggers social comparison. Your brain starts scanning for proof that you still matter. You don't even want them back. You just don't want to feel discarded. That's how the trap resets. They want you to chase, to compete, to prove your worth. Because if you're busy proving, you're not leaving. Now here's the most important part. These mind games don't mean you're stupid. They mean you're human. They're designed to hijack the strongest parts of you, your empathy, your hope, your loyalty, your ability to see potential. But leaving a narcissist isn't just a physical decision, it's a psychological withdrawal. So if you are at that doorway right now, remember this. The version of them that appears when you're leaving is the version they could have chosen before you broke. They didn't suddenly discover love, they sensed loss. And your clarity is your power. If this video put words to something you've been feeling but couldn't explain, stay with this channel. We decode the psychology behind people's behavior so you can stop doubting yourself and start trusting your instincts again. And if you want, subscribe, because the strongest mind game is the one that convinces you you're alone.